Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, THCF, or the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, and our affiliated political committee, Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, or CRRH. We are all for ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, and helping medical marijuana patients. And we'll be taking your calls a little bit later in the show, talk about that and other things. We have a musical guest this evening. Mr. Max Turner is here, and he will be providing a few songs. We also have, hey Max, hey Tim.
Good evening.
We have a couple of different guests. Dr. Philip Levesque is here. Melody Silverwolf is here, and she'll be introducing a new show that she's going to have here on Portland Cable Access. We also have Mr. Chris Iverson, who is the star of a new upcoming movie and a longtime cannabis activist and board member of the, what's it called, the Medical Cannabis Advisory Board, or?
Yeah, something like that.
Committee on Medical Marijuana.
Advisory Committee on Medical Marijuana. Thank you. So you got to watch her show now once it comes out. But we'll be talking about that in just a minute. But we'll buy a few crucial moments as we bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. Ta-da!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our show, Max Hunter.
Thank you. Hello, Max Hunter. I'm sorry.
Texas got some damn fine weed. They smuggle across the Rio, they're using a Mexican breed. Exploiting cheap labor, but hell, that's a Texan's creed. The boys from down in Texas got some damn fine weed. The boys from Arkansas, they got some pretty good pot. That's a direct result of all the good seeds they got. We're hauling water up a hill's a chore, but man, I tell you what, them boys from Arkansas, they got some pretty good pot. Well, them boys from Oklahoma rolled the joints all wrong. They're too damn skinny, way too long. Well, I ain't a holy roller, so I'll just use a bong. Them boys from Oklahoma rolled the joints all wrong. Them boys up there in Kansas, all they got's a bunch of swag. They try to screw you over, man, for $50 a bag. I got some in my guitar case, but I ain't the type to brag. It's a hell of a lot better than that Kanzazi and swag. The boys in Louisiana, they got trouble growing their weed. The alligators mean, man, they eat up all the seeds. I'll buy you a night by the light of a full moon. You can walk out and pick yourself a sack full of shrooms. Well, the boys from Oklahoma roll the joints all wrong. They're too damn skinny, way too long. I ain't no holy roller, so I'll just use a bong. Them boys from Oklahoma roll the joints all wrong. Them boys in Colorado just as soon pan for gold. The nights are too long, the growing season's too cold. They just as soon roll a joint as someone else had rolled. Them boys from Colorado just as soon pan for gold. Them boys from San Francisco got a kinky streak. They can't roll the rum now, the wrists are too weak. They should start a puffin' if you stick one in the beak. boys from California got a kink-ass streak. Boys from Oklahoma roll the joints all wrong. They're too damn skinny, way too long. Well, I ain't a holy roller, so I'll just use a bong. Boys from Oklahoma roll the joints all wrong. Boys up in Alaska, man, they know to have fun. You can joint after joint under the midnight sun. If you ever find yourself a band, you find yourself some luck. You can smoke yourself a bowl of Alaska Thunder. Well, the boys from Oklahoma, well, the joint's all wrong. They're too damn skinny, way too long. Well, I ain't a holy roller, so I'll just use a bong. The boys from Oklahoma roll the joint's all wrong. But them boys up there in Oregon got the best I ever seen. It grows so big and tall, it looks like redwood trees. We got some people here trying to set that plant free. Cause the boys up there in Oregon got the best I ever seen. The boys from Oklahoma rolled the joints all wrong. They're too damn skinny and way too long. I ain't a holy roller, no, I'll just use a bong. Cause the boys from Oklahoma rolled the joints all wrong. Alright, let's regulate and educate. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Max Hunter. Good job, Max. You got some other songs for us later?
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. That's exciting. That's exciting. Well, I would like to introduce Melody Silverwolf, Sister Sativa.
Thank you very much, Paul.
And you're the host on KBOO of Positively Revolting.
I am.
I love that name.
Thank you. We stole it from a feminist philosopher named Mary Daly, who teaches in Boston at Boston University. She's a very wild and wicked woman who likes to play with language. So I've been doing Positively Revolting talk radio on KBOO since February of 1994.
Oh, good.
And I'm very excited to tell everybody, for those of you who are currently watching this show and who might be fans of KBOO as well, that I'm going to be launching a new cable access show a week from next Wednesday. The first show will be October 22nd. It'll be at 7 p.m. right here on Channel 11, produced at Portland Community Media. That's Wednesday.
Wednesday nights.
Yes, Wednesday or October 22nd will be my first show.
Is that going to be bi-weekly or
It's
weekly?
unfortunately at this time we only have this time every once a month. So
Once a month.
I'm hoping that maybe for the next mini season we can go up to twice a month. And so I hope people will tune in. It's going to be a very interesting show. It's going to be some sort of a combination of a public affairs show and a sort of an online salon in the style of one of my favorite shows. Of course, this show is going to be called Positively Revolting Tonight, a sort of homage to Fernwood Tonight, which was one of my favorite shows of all time.
Sure.
The famous show that starred Martin Mull and Fred Willard, and
Right.
so we'll be doing call-ins and talking about everything under the sun, from the election to the upcoming holiday of Halloween and cannabis, of course, and all sorts of things.
All right.
So I hope people will tune in. That's Wednesday, October 22nd, 7 p.m. right here on Portland Community Media.
All right. Then we have Dr. Philip Levesque. How are you doing this week, Doctor?
Well, I made it here.
You made it here. Well, that's good.
Well, yeah.
That's great.
It beats the alternative.
Not making it here, if you were trying anyway.
Right.
So have you had a good week?
Well, yes. 2 weeks ago, Madeline Martinez read a letter from Ron Wyden about whether he would what's the right word, support the Oregon medical marijuana program, and he wrote an absolutely unbelievable letter back, and so I made a response to it. And so I'm going to read this response right now, and I'm going to throw in a few editorial comments along the way. The title of this is Medical Marijuana, Senator Ron Wyden and Miserable Misinformation. Now, if you want to see this on a computer, punch up marijuana, Ron Wyden, or Ron Wyden, marijuana, and you'll get this story. It's great, even if I wrote it myself. Patty Ouse wrote to Senator Ron Wyden requesting his support for medical marijuana. His response to her was scarcely believable. It appears he saw the movie Reefer Madness several times and believed every word of it. How many of you have seen Reefer Madness? Most of you had. How'd you like it? Great? Not so great. I didn't think so.
Studio audience here for our viewers out there.
It was a good laugh.
There's a studio audience.
I was an instructor at the medical school, and I had to watch it 6 times to make sure that the students didn't laugh their brains out or just stand up and leave the room. So somebody's pointing at me for the camera, and once in a while they change cameras on me here, and so it's like a tennis game. I am responding with clarification to the miserable misinformation in his letter. First of all, he doesn't believe that it should be legal or anything else. First of all, voters in 11 states have voted for medical marijuana, and 65% of AARP members believe it should be available for medical patients. In Oregon, 3,000 medical doctors have approved its use. What's his problem? Secondly, he thinks it's very harmful. Cannabis marijuana doesn't harm anybody. At its worst, it's like 3 martinis. How many of you have had 3 martinis sometime or another? Very few. How many of you smoked 2 joints once in a while?
Got not an alcohol crowd here, Doctor. In our studio, this is...
The worst adverse effect is sleep. How many of you have fallen asleep in front of the refrigerator?
I've never fallen asleep in front of the refrigerator.
Thirdly, she says, or he writes something about that people say that if it were taxed like cigarettes or alcohol, it would eliminate the national debt. Well, that's a fact. They believe it would bring in, what do they say, $400 billion a year or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Big bucks.
Big bucks, yeah. The same.
300 million.
It was the tax the same as tobacco and alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yes, at least 300 million.
Fourthly, the U.S. government equates it with heroin, alcohol, and tobacco, which kill about 1 million people a year. Cannabis has never killed anybody. Well, how can you say that for heroin, alcohol, or tobacco?
Especially tobacco.
Hundreds of thousands of people. Fifth.
A year.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
400,000.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Fifth, cannabis does not... He says that he thinks it causes heart attacks, strokes, and any other fatal health conditions. I'm speechless. The immediate but short effects of marijuana cause memory and attention span defects. This is usually an effect of an overdose of a first-time user. How many of you, a first-time user, had that effect? None of you. Two of you. Don't remember. This is usually an effect of overdose by a first-time user. Otherwise, the effects are similar but less than alcohol, painkillers, or even antidepressants. Sixth, to consider cannabis as a gateway drug is ridiculous. Even the U.S. government statistics say cannabis has been used by 70 million people. It is available everywhere, and these 70 million people know it is relatively harmless. How many think it's harmless? Most of you.
It looks like 100% to me. In this room.
The U.S. government falsely demonized cannabis for 80 years because it is in competition with medical, petroleum, pharmaceutical, cotton, and timber industries.
Amen.
Amen.
Hey, woman.
Hey, everyone.
The DEA administrative judge, Francis Young, and even the American College of Physicians, with 100,000 members, say that cannabis is very safe and should be totally released as an over-the-counter medicine, just like aspirin or Tylenol, which are far more dangerous and kill patients. Senator Wyden, I hope you will have your staff get some factual information about medical marijuana. It has been used for 4,000 years or more with not one death from overdose. And if you punch this up on your computer, you will find Ron Wyden's letter to Patty House telling her that what a dangerous drug this stuff is.
You got to watch out for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes you get hungry.
I was the one who read that letter, not Madeline.
I do find that really disturbing that Ron Wyden is so underinformed about something, and
it's admirable that you, Dr. Levesque, have done something
yes.
to try to inform him.
But
we have a caller.
Just like I say, if you punch up Ron Wyden marijuana, you'll read this letter on your computer.
Right. We have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hey, how's it going? This is Chris Johnson. I catch your show every once in a while, and I had a question about planting soil for the cannabis that I grow medically.
Yes.
Do you guys have any specific types of soil that you recommend?
Well, you know, I like the organic. I mean, I'm not. Want to first make a disclaimer that this is a public access show, and we in no way commercially endorse anything. We're are not allowed to do that under cable access rules. Okay. But that aside, I like an organic, highly earthworm-heavy mix. The Fox Farm stuff's good. I like organic black gold. I bought soil at local mixes, too, that are mushroom compost. Mixed it with chicken and cow manure compost and perlite and green sand and rock phosphate. Create my own blend as well. A lot of perlite, a lot of aeration, but for commercial mixes, I like the all organic ones myself.
Yeah, some of my friends said some of the same things, but a lot of them actually, they actually smoke weed out their asshole. Now, what do you think of...
Oh, man.
Well, you know,
kids.
Some people really have interesting customs these days.
I've heard of suppositories, but smoking is...
Can I tell a story about that?
You could tell it was a kid. I could hear the bong starting to hit there in the background. And did you hear that pop, pop, pop?
He was too clean on the first question. It's just too easy.
He's got an anal fixation. There's a young man with an anal fixation.
A couple of years ago, somebody phoned in with a medical question, which I answered, and so he says, Dr. Levesque, I'd like to have a relationship with you. And I says, please don't say that on the television.
We've had that happen on a few occasions. It's kind of bizarre. Well, you know what? We are going to run a little film clip now, and I know you're wanting to take off, and we're going to have Chris Iverson with the Green Goddess in. But I want you to...
I did want to, first of all, thank you for having me on. And I want to remind everybody that tomorrow, for all those of you card holders out there who live in the Portland area, tomorrow is going to be an Oregon Normal card holder meeting at Mount Tabor Theater. That's right. It's the second Saturday of the month. And the doors will open around 11 o'clock. They close at noon at Mount Tabor Theater, which is on the corner of 49th and Hawthorne. And if you are looking to get a medical cutting or just want to be informed and meet and greet, if you can bring cuttings and donations, Oregon Normal always accepts them, so we hope we'll see you tomorrow.
Medical Garden will be contributing 1 pound of freshly cured cannabis
That's
flowers.
Extremely good news.
That will go probably a good ways among. So show up and maybe you'll get a gram.
That's going to be divvied up with people. Is that
yep, they'll divvy it up and give it away for free.
Yay!
Yes. All right. So I hope we see all of you there.
Free marijuana. All right, thank you for coming, Melody.
Thanks
Enjoy this film clip, and we'll be right back with Chris Iverson and Dr.
Hey, Chris. Good to see you too. How you doing? I'm great.
Long ago, when these ancient Grecian temples were new, hemp was already old in the service of mankind. For thousands of years even then, this plant had been grown for cordage and coarse cloth in China and elsewhere in the East. For centuries prior to about 1850, all the ships that sailed the western seas were rigged with hempen rope and sails. For the sailor, no less than the hangman, hemp was indispensable. A 44-gun frigate, like our cherished old Ironsides, took over 60 tons of hemp for rigging. Including an anchor cable 25 inches in circumference. The Conestoga wagons and prairie schooners of pioneer days were covered with hempen canvas. Indeed, the very word canvas comes from the Arabic word for hemp. In those days, hemp was an important crop in Kentucky and Missouri. Then came cheaper imported fibers for cordage, like jute, sisal, and manila hemp, and the culture of hemp in America declined. But now, with Philippine and East Indian sources of hemp in the hands of the Japanese, and shipment of jute from India curtailed, American hemp must meet the needs of our Army and Navy as well as of our industries. In 1942, patriotic farmers, at the government's request, planted 36,000 acres of seed hemp, an increase of several thousand percent. The goal for 1943 is 50,000 acres of seed hemp. In Kentucky, much of the seed hemp acreage is on river bottom land such as this, along the Kentucky River Gorge. Some of these fields are inaccessible except by boat. Thus, plans are afoot for a great expansion of the hemp industry as a part of the war program. This film is designed to tell farmers how to handle this ancient crop, now little known outside Kentucky and Wisconsin. This is hemp seed. Be careful how you use it. For to grow hemp legally, you must have a federal registration and tax stamp. This is provided for in your contract. Ask your AAA committee man.
Ask your AAA committee man. You must have a permit to grow medical marijuana too. I have one of those producers of marijuana things but it's an antique that I paid several $100. Expired back in World War II. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Paul. It's been a few months since I've been on your show.
Yeah.
Always like coming on here.
So
good to see you, Doctor.
Is that a hemp shirt?
Hi, Tim. This is a hemp shirt, yes, and it's got a figure of a hemp seed on the front.
That's cool. Plant a seed.
Yeah, appropriate for the show.
Yeah, very much so. So you are on the advisory committee for medical marijuana, but you're going to step down, I understand.
I am. I have served my 3-year term, and I've been to every meeting except for one. And I just feel like it's time for someone else to step up. I'm going to write a glowing letter of recommendation for Melody. I think she would be a great replacement for me. So I'm
She's
hoping
been very active and at every
she
meeting
gets,
too, I think.
Selected. But I've had a good time, and I felt like I've really been able to make a difference, and I was happy to serve. But now my time's over.
Let me ask you a question about that.
Okay.
I just had a response to one of my postings, and he asked, how could he's a PTSD victim. He wanted to know, how could he get the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program to allow PTSD victims to get medical marijuana?
The more doctors who write them, the more likely it is. Doctors who write to the health department to put a petition in, to have them have a hearing to see if they're going to do it. I know they had a hearing on PTSD and depression, and that's when they allowed Alzheimer's several years back. But it used to be only doctors could do it, but then they amended it so now patients can request it too, but they haven't really had any more hearings in years.
Well, and from what I know from being at the meetings, I know that it's not an administrative path that needs to be pursued. The program has made it very clear that they don't intend to add any conditions without a mandate from the legislature or an initiative. So what that means is that the next session, which is coming up pretty soon, we are working on a bill. Well, there are people that are working on a bill that will add those PTSD and other psychological conditions.
And if that doesn't make it, the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act will be up for a vote in 2010, and that would allow a doctor to recommend medical marijuana, just as in California, for anything a doctor thinks it might be useful for. So support our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition. We have a caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Hi. My name is Pat, and I have a question for you, especially for the doctor. My question is, I was thinking about getting a prescription for the cannabis for sleeping problems and for pain in my leg, but I don't necessarily want to smoke it because I don't want to get all that tar and resin in my lungs. Is there another way to take it that would be just as effective with the same, effects, only without the tar and resin?
Okay. Very good question. You can take it orally in brownies. You can use it cannabis tincture, cannabis oil, and in baked goods, or you can put it on your salads. But what we really recommend is a vaporizer. Vaporizers do not produce any of these tars and carcinogens that you're talking about. And it's very good, and a good vaporizer will last you 100 years.
I've got a Volcano that's 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I started using it 6 years ago, and I found I used to have a smoker's cough. That went away
that's what
within
I was
just a few weeks.
Cool. Okay. Oh, one other quick question. Can I ask my regular doctor for a prescription? Is it okay to suggest that?
Sure. Yeah, you can. You just the best thing to do is to go to the website and go to the state website and pull up the state forms. You can search for that on Google, or you can find it through our hemp.org website. You just click on the state website, get those forms, take them into your doctor and ask them. If he won't do it, then we have doctors who can help you do it all across the western United States.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys are out there, and I appreciate answering the questions.
Sure. Thanks for your questions.
Take care.
I'm sure that let some other people know. You know, we have doctors all over the western United States, and a little bit later I'll be giving you phone numbers in various locales throughout the western U.S. where we can help you get a doctor referral. We have a little picture here I'm going to show real quick. This was brought in by our candy man, Gary, who makes some of the best candy bars out there. He said this is his Hawaiian, the Hawaiian strain. There it is.
What is that?
Looks pretty good.
Big blob on the top.
It's a halo from God.
Oh, wow.
Or some kind of reflection or something.
Looks like the moon, right?
It does look like the moon. It might be the moon. It might be something else. I'm not sure exactly, but it's...
The sun reflecting off of the two lens elements in his camera. That's why they're two different circles. There are only two elements in his camera.
Ah,
so
there it is.
It tells you how many pieces of glass are in the camera. How many of those rings you get off of a sunspot.
That's Mr. Tim Pate.
I prefer the halo business, if you don't mind.
I know it was
now,
more romantic, but
Chris,
I'm giving you what I got learned in
you've done so many things. You started one of the first clubs here in Portland to provide medical marijuana back in. What was it, about 96?
It was.
I was card number 00 in that.
Yeah, I don't remember my card number. I'll have to look it up. And you went to Switzerland and grew cannabis for years. I went over there and helped you harvest in 98 and 99 and had the time of my life. Like I like to tell people, I have seen the promised land. And I hope that we'll all be able to get there together sometime real soon. But I've seen a legal field of 25 acres of cannabis at Cannabio land, and Chris, you made about half of those cuttings there that year, right?
At least 30,000 that one
year. You rented another little half hectare, which is like an acre and a half or an acre and a quarter or something. And I helped you harvest that year and
had
came
the clipping
back.
Machine.
Yep, I got to be pretty good at that clipping machine.
Still hold the record, I think.
I look forward to trying out some of the new ones out there. I heard there's a $10,000 clipping machine out there now that's state of the art. We've got to try that out sometime. So we've got to make some films and show that here on the show.
Okay.
But let me go ahead and take a caller since they're patiently standing by. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, Paul and Dr. Levesque. How are you? Good to see you both.
Hey.
I wanted to ask you about how the powers that be might, in your opinion, view a prescription for Marinol and the use of it. I was thinking about OHSU, if they would view that the same way as
well, they look at it a little bit more leniently, because if you have a prescription for Marinol, well, it's not generally a drug of abuse. It's not something out there you see a lot of on the black market. So a lot of people get Marinol prescriptions, and we can help people do that so that they can pass employment tests. And recently, people who've been on transplant lists have lost their place on those lists because of medical marijuana. A couple weeks ago, Pam Mayer, who had been kicked off the list for testing positive, was put back on. That was a huge victory for patients when Providence Hospital put Pam Mayer back on.
Oh, yes, definitely.
We had a lot of our viewers call, and finally Providence changed their mind overnight.
That's a good thing. I'm glad. That's quite a victory there. I'm not sure about the Justice Department, how they would view that either, but I would think there would be a little more leniency that way.
The Federal Justice Department might be a little bit more, or any other, they do allow people on probation and parole to use medical marijuana. It's not as easy as it was at one point, but it can be allowed. It takes a bit of hoop jumping, so to say.
I see. And, that makes sense, I suppose.
You won't like Marinol.
I just found out that...
Marinol's not that good, but the best thing about it is you can test positive. And the only test that tells the difference between Marinol and marijuana costs $1,400. And they're unlikely to deploy that one.
They just came out with a generic form of Marinol that runs $681, and it is covered by Oregon Health Plan now.
All right.
So that's kind of good news. I thought I'd get out there to you.
Well, if you need help out there with Marinol or medical marijuana, we do have a doctor referral service here in Portland. You can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. If you're up in Seattle, we have a Seattle number. It's 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. In Denver, Colorado, where this show is number one in cable access, just like here in Portland, the number is 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. Down in Southern California, in Riverside, it's 951-782-9898. That's 951-782-9898. In Las Vegas, Nevada, it's 702-202-0249. That's 702-202-0249. And in throughout the west of the western United States, we have other cities too, but we won't bore you any longer. It's 1-800-723-0188. So if you're looking for a doctor and you have one of the qualifying conditions, and either you've asked your doctor and they said no, or you don't want to ask your doctor, call us at 1-800-723-0188. There's all the conditions that qualify everywhere, and there's a few more in California. But thanks for your call and your question. So, Chris, back to your story. How is it you came to grow marijuana on acres or 6 football fields of land in Switzerland?
I still don't know.
It's almost a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean,
there
it's
was
quite
a
a long
goddess
story.
guiding you.
Yeah. No, I just was in the right place at the right time, knew the right person, got the right information, and was the right person, I guess. So here I am many years later looking back at 11 years of time gone by since I first set foot in Switzerland.
So you arrived there in 97.
I did.
And in fact, the Droleg petition, the way it works in Switzerland, Oregon was the first state in 1902 that implemented an initiative petition so citizens could create their own law. But before Oregon, they were doing it in Switzerland from like the 1860s or so. And so in Switzerland, women didn't get to vote there till like 73, right? But they still have general democracy. They don't have representative government. They have true democracy where the people come together and vote themselves. And so once you get enough signatures to make the ballot in Switzerland, your initiative becomes law for 5 years. So from 97 till 2002, marijuana was legal until the vote came in Droleg. They called it Droleg, right?
Right.
And it got 48% of the vote?
Very close.
48% and 52% against. So marijuana again became de facto illegal, even though people are allowed to grow their own there still.
I mean,
right?
It's a gray area. It's tolerated, and it's definitely been a conservative government over the last few years.
Right, and I know the United States spent a lot of money over there. Switzerland only has 6 million Swiss people there, right? So we spent tens of millions of dollars campaigning against Droleg.
We did.
Our federal government did. But you had managed to take advantage of that from 97 onward.
I did. I just met the right people over there. We
There's this
with
huge
the largest
conference in Cologne called the Cannabis Conference.
Right.
You and I went to that in 98 and 99,
okay,
and I know you probably went to more of those after. I haven't been back since then. But then they started a big one in Bern, too, in Switzerland. That's the Cannatrade, the Cannatrade show.
That was a
and
good
that's
one.
every spring.
It is.
Where the Cannabis show's in the fall.
Summer, late summer.
Late summer, yeah,
in
September.
Germany. Yeah.
And so...
so we basically grew, our biggest field was 6 football fields, which is about 20,000 plants, and it's the backdrop of the movie that we made, The Green Goddess.
Right.
And the year before that, we grew in 5 different places in Switzerland. It was so legal there in 2001 that one field we had, which was all a Mexican sativa strain, very pure genetics, we grew, and it was surrounded by high-rise apartment buildings. And we seeded that one because we knew people would want to steal it. So we didn't have really a theft problem, but it was so legal there that you could grow the stuff right out in the open of hundreds and hundreds of people
Right. I mean, Cannabis land with 25 acres was open to the public, and you could pick your own plant and cut your own Christmas tree.
Right.
They had it trimmed. They had it packaged. You could pick it at any stage in production there.
It's true.
It was pretty amazing. And I remember I was working in your little half hectare or acre and a half, and the military, everybody's in the military till age 40 over there, went by the road, and I had these flashbacks to police kicking my door in the United States, but they went up the hill to the Cannabis land place to buy some cannabis to take out on their maneuvers. Which was,
it's true, I remember that.
Yeah, with their Uzis and everything. But we're going to take one more caller, and then we're going to go to a film clip, and I think we have Madeline Martinez on the line. Hello, Madeline.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for calling. You're getting ready for the patient conference tomorrow?
Tomorrow we have the Oregon Medical Cardholders meeting, and the exciting part is we're celebrating the harvest. We're going to have Franco and the Stingers on with us tomorrow. They're going to be performing right after our meeting, so we just want to welcome everybody to come on out and let's celebrate the harvest together in our self-sustaining community.
And our THCF Medical Gardens will be donating a pound of freshly harvested and cured marijuana for medical patients only. So I'm sure that'll go quite a ways.
Plenty of patients that'll love that.
I'm sure that'll be at least a couple grams for all the patients there.
Yes. Thank you so much, and I just wanted to get the word out and let everyone know about Franco and the Stingers. You had them on the show just recently.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a wonderful group, so come on out.
Well, Madeline and I are also...
Chris.
Hi, Madeline. Good to hear you.
Madeline and I are also chief petitioners on the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition drive. And what's our signature count up to now, Madeline? Do you know?
Well, it's pretty close to, I think it's just going to be over 3,000.
Right.
It's taken slow. We're going to get some paid petitioners going. So here we go, upward and onward.
Right. The Oregon Cannabis Tax Act will end adult marijuana prohibition, allow adults to grow their own marijuana without a permit. If you want to grow it for sale, you'll get a permit and sell it through the state system. Be able to open coffee shops and bars if you got the right license. And it'll allow patients to get subsidized cannabis through pharmacies. And anyone could grow their own too, so they'd be able to grow it without a permit. So
exciting.
And best of all, I think, is that it will allow industrial hemp to be produced in a non-regulated manner where we can grow the strains that make the most biodiesel to run our engines, the most food and protein to feed the people of the world, the most fiber for pressboard and canvas, rope, lace, and linen. And so it'll reform our economy and our ecology through industrial hemp.
And feed the hungry. But you know what, also I wanted to remind everyone that next weekend is the Normal Conference.
Yeah, in Berkeley.
Yes, in Berkeley, California. Come out and support Normal. That we're the founders of changing the whole thing. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, we'll be running a tape show next week, as I'll be down in the Berkeley Conference as well. So we'll...
you're one of the sponsors.
I'm one of the sponsors of this year's National Normal Conference. It's true. Our THCF is one of the sponsors.
It's going to be great. Well, okay, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'm waiting to see the Green Goddess.
All right, well, we're about to run it. I know THCF also is one of the sponsors of the Green Goddess movie. And
well, it's pretty much because of THCF that we're able to finish it, and our movie is done now, 100%. All right. We have just recently entered it into Sundance Film Festival, which is the third largest film festival in the world.
Keep our fingers crossed that you get accepted into that.
Yeah, we'll know in December.
That would be a big step forward.
It would, so it's been great.
Well, let's watch those film clips, and we'll be back in about 8 minutes to talk about them and laugh at about a few scenes. So stay tuned. I think it's coming.
Sometimes I just think we need change. And we can't just sit here and act like we don't see it. We need to change. Sometimes I think we just need change. I can't fight this fight alone. I need assistance.
I need you now more than ever, baby brother. I got this punk-ass public defender trying to get me to plea bargain.
I just want to get my brother out. Grow some medicinal quality ganja. and you'll see your brother free.
So how much do you think is there?
At least 15 grand.
Looks like those seeds are going to come in handy after all. And we need passports.
I bet you could find the green goddess inside of this. The green goddess is a spirit of the THC frequency. Start with a strain like this, nurture her, worship her. When your mind is open, she will come.
You from America? Yep. So you think you can just come over to Europe, grow some weed, and make a whole bunch of money? Doesn't work like that.
100 bucks for you.
So many gifts to give the world, yet I'm made an outlaw. I'm food, shelter, clothing, medicine, fuel, and so much more. Help me, Christian.
I love my medicine.
Dr. Stanford, Riley and Soleil are here to see you.
I'll be right there.
So I hear you guys came all the way from Switzerland, huh?
Yeah, we just flew in, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. Welcome. You must be Riley?
Yes.
And Soleil?
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Would you like to see our clinic?
I would love that.
Come on.
So, all of your treatments involve cannabis?
Yeah, we use cannabis for a wide variety of different ailments. Everything from cancer and glaucoma to multiple sclerosis and AIDS. It's remarkably effective for so many different things. Riley, you must have had menstrual cramps at some period. Well, I recommend cannabis for those. You'd be amazed how well it works for that. Now, this is our vaporization room. We recommend vaporization instead of smoking, and I also recommend ingesting cannabis. For pain, spasms, seizures, and glaucoma, taking cannabis orally works better and is more effective than smoking or vaporization. This is our examination room. You want to go ahead and have a seat? So what did you think of our clinic?
Well, I love it. You know, I only wish there had been something like this for my brother.
Your brother, was he sick?
He died of AIDS last year.
I know that's got to be painful.
The only time I ever smoked weed was with him. Sometimes he had to smoke just to have any kind of appetite.
You know, I understand you're growing some outdoor organic. That's just what our patients need. We could take 10 kilos for $15,000. The quality's good.
I will definitely contact you at harvest time.
Sorry to bother you. Your 10 o'clock's waiting in your office.
Thanks, Steph. Well, folks, I know our patients are going to be looking forward to that harvest. Steph will show you out. Thanks.
So do you guys go back to Switzerland now?
Actually, we're on our way to Amsterdam.
Yeah, we have to make some connections there.
Then you guys have got to get in touch with Mila. She knows everybody and everything in Amsterdam. Come on, guys, I'll show you out.
Ashutya Keshava Shri Radha Madhava Jaya Jaya Vrindavaneshwari Ashutya Keshava Shri Radha Madhava Jaya Jaya Vrindavaneshwari
seen anybody that wasted since backstage with Hendrix in '67.
And the winner of this year's Cannabis Cup, Christian Green for the Green Goddess.
All right, so the website for that's greengoddess.info.
Yep, or thegreengoddessmovie.com, greengoddessmovie.com. There's a bunch of them will get
Get
you
them
there.
out there. So you're hoping it gets picked up at Sundance Film Festival. Obviously, we do too. THCF is a beneficiary, so we'll be, if it profits, we'll be benefiting from that. We're happy to say. I know a percentage is going to our nonprofit. And
It is.
Well, is there any other words? I know you're working to get a major distributor.
Our movie's finished. It's taken over 6 years. That's the good news. Now it's
just been
really
finished,
exciting.
like the past month, right?
Well, it's completely finished. We are trying to make a couple of the special effects just a little bit better, but we have a finished movie now. And
Great.
with that, we can go to any distributor. They'll watch it, and if they like it, then we'll talk business. So now it gets really exciting.
All right. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Yahoo, it's harvest time, huh?
It is indeed.
Yes, favorite time of the year. I'd like to talk a little bit about this Octa bill that you have going on.
Sure.
Been a little active with it myself.
Great, thank you.
It carries me, my business carries me up and down the coast in both directions. I have a medical card also down in California, and I was in a distributor center down there the other day, and the going cost for an ounce of whatever you prefer, they have several different varieties, blueberries and so on and such, train wreck, whatever you want to name. And the going price is $2.95 an ounce.
Uh-huh.
And that's about what street market value on the black market here in the state is, maybe a little higher.
Yeah, it's about the
Yeah. So by using Octa, if it goes through the state distributors, it can be controlled a little bit more, I believe. And this other bill that I don't know where it's at this point, but it was working on getting dispensaries. Yeah. I just feel that there's special interest money in that bill. It just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and nobody seems to know much about it. Is it still active?
I think it is. I'm sure that they are in circulation too. So if you're out there and you're looking at petitions, you got to realize, I think that there are 2 of them in circulation right now. And so we haven't, we've had some talk about trying to work together. And in fact, at our Hempstock Festival, there were booths for both of them circulating. But we want to be sure that people out there realize there are 2 different marijuana petitions to sign right now. One of them, I-2, the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, would end adult marijuana prohibition and regulate marijuana, and patients would get subsidized marijuana through pharmacies, and everyone could grow their own with no license. Where the other proposal, I-28, the 28th initiative that was turned in for circulation, I think that not that many have been approved for circulation, but they want to set up dispensaries for patients, like in California.
Yeah. Well, if you're not a citizen of the state and you're a card holder from another state, you cannot participate in their dispensary system.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to be part of the state down there.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's just kind of like a cartel or a regulated black market. It doesn't really change from anything, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, what we've tried to do with the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act is implement a system of controls mandated by the Single Convention Treaty. By doing that, we think we've designed a bill that will be upheld in federal court. And so any bill that passes could be subject to judicial review, and we tried to design the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act to be upheld in that judicial review. So we've got over 3,000 signatures right now. We need a good 100. Well, we need 82,000 good signatures, so we need to turn in about 130,000 signatures in total to qualify. So we have until July of 2008 to gather those. 2010 to gather those signatures. So, but we hope to turn it in early.
Yeah. Well, and that's great. You know, it really is back to the good old days of what it should be, and not a money-making thing. I got involved in this kind of in a peculiar way, like how different things in life changes, and I was robbed, and went to the police and did everything that I thought I should do, and
So you were robbed of medical marijuana?
of my crop, yeah. By a couple guys I knew for 6 years,
That's a shame.
Well, yeah, but, the people that are out there that are getting into this, they're awfully naive. It's a terrible way to learn a lesson. Nevertheless, I mean, if you want to do this, the place to do it is in Canby. Because the police down there, they don't give a shit, or, they don't care what goes on.
Well, I don't know. I recently did an interview for the Oregonian about a Clackamas County situation where some police target patients, and in fact, we found that even though we had guards in place, that someone managed to break into our garden and take a few pounds of tops. Fortunately, that was a small amount of the crop, maybe 5%. But still, even with careful guards, we had a robbery on Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Well, these knuckleheads I got involved with, they're running the medical program through their own system, and they're using the system to hide behind it. And eventually they'll, I believe in karma really, really well. Maybe they'll get theirs.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. Well, I want to thank you for your call and your questions.
Yeah, well, yeah, and thanks for what you're doing. I mean,
we appreciate it.
This should have been done 30, 40 years ago, actually.
I've been working on it a long time. I started developing this wording back in about 88, so been working on it for 20 years. We finally got out there. In fact, at one time, Chris Iverson and Dr. Levesque were chief petitioners in the 90s on earlier versions of the Cannabis Tax Act. Twice. And Chris was. And at one time, we were all three together when we didn't make it, I think, in 96, I believe. 96 or 98, 98, the 98
Well,
drive.
if Oregonians, really got it together, we could be the benchmark or the watermark, if you will, for the rest of the states to follow in behind. And
I think we
that's
will.
There to be
that's
made,
what we're here to do.
That's there to be made is incredible.
We're trying, and we sure could use your help. So if you want to contact us and get our petition, please do. You can get it on our website, which is, you can get through our portal, hemp.org. That's www.hemp.org, or right from the Cannabis Tax Act website at cannabistaxact.org. Or come down to our office at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all three of us have been advocates of this for some time.
Oh, I love OCTA.
Yeah.
Great bill.
I have an advertisement.
What's that?
For any of the people in the audience that don't have my card, to tell you which computer sites to hit after the program is over, come up here and I'll give you my cards.
And if you're out there and you'd like to come down to one of our live shows, you're welcome every Friday night, just not next Friday night because we'll be off at the National Normal Convention in Berkeley. But most Friday nights come down to Portland Community Media at 2766 Northeast MLK or Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. So, anything else you want to say about the movie right now, Chris? It was some great clips. It's obviously got a lot of great scenes and a lot of great ganja shots.
Yeah, we're all excited. That stuff's never been seen before on television or anywhere for that matter. So
it's kind of a historical piece now, set during the Bush administration and showing the crop there. So as it was for a while in Switzerland, but is no more.
Didn't I see one of your programs that was made at the site in Switzerland?
I had a lot of pictures from the site in Switzerland.
Yeah.
We made other videos,
a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have had some of those here on the show. So, in a moment, we'll be coming back with Max Hunter. He'll be closing out with a song. We're down to just a couple minutes, so I want to remind you out there that if you or a loved one have a condition that qualifies for medical marijuana, then we have doctors all across the western United States that can help you get a medical marijuana permit. In Portland, if you need that, you can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. If you're up in Seattle, the Seattle number is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. If you're in Denver, the Denver number is 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. In Riverside, California, it's 951-782-9898. That's 951-782-9898. I'm having trouble with that. 98. And in Las Vegas, it's 702-202-0249. That's 702-202-0249. Finally, any place else in the western United States, call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. Is there anything you want to say in closing, Dr. Levesque?
Do not smoke in the rain.
We always remember that. What about
and
you?
if you do have a question about that, you've been using some real high-grade stuff.
Use an umbrella. What do you think, Chris?
Just, I love the work you're doing, support it fully, and appreciate all your support on our movie.
I'm really excited to see it out there, so stay tuned. Hopefully you'll be able to buy the DVDs and go to your movie theater and see it soon. I want to thank you, Chris. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, folks, for watching.
Doctor.
We'll have a tape show next week, but we'll be back the week after that. And remember to help us restore hemp.
Yes.
And in closing, here is Max Hunter with another fabulous ganja song. Thank you, Max.
The devil lives in California in a house on the beach. The devil lives in California in a house next to me. It hasn't rained in 40 days and I haven't slept in 40 nights. That awful sound, it keeps me